बहती रही है गंगा, चलो चले कसीरंगा, हम नाचेंगे नंगा, RCB coach is Sanjay Banga or something like
Oh
that.
boy! This is even better than Stadium, Podium, Sodium.
This is the intro.
TV umpire to director, we have a player review. Can we rock and roll, please?
What do Bishan Singh Bedi and Tim Southee have in common with this episode of Bits and Pieces, you may ask? Well, Bedi and Southee both have 14 5-wicket hauls in their test careers. And this is episode 14 of Bits and Pieces. That's right, it's episode 14. I am Nitin Sundar and I'm here to introduce you to the rest of the motley gang, starting with Srinath, husky voice, Sripath. Where are you joining us from today, Srinath, and what is your connection to number 14?
I've been in the same place as I was last week. I think 14 is a perfectly accurate descriptor of CSK's actual position on the IPL table this season. So that's my connect.
Welcome to the show, Srinath. Also joining us today after a short break is Kaustubh Decibel God Kumar. Kaustubh, what is your connection to the number 14 and where is your favorite idli seller? We are waiting to hear him on the podcast today as well.
Idli seller will factor in when you're talking about the IPL, since that is copyrighted now, the IPL tune. So when he makes that noise, we'll put that noise in. I randomly googled literally who has jersey number 14 in cricket. Turns out it's Ricky Ponting and Sanju Samson.
Amazing.
Yeah, so Tony will be happy.
Tony will actually be sad because we have stolen. I'm very sure he also had Sanju Samson's jersey number as his 14 connect. But before we throw it to Tony, simply fantastic Sebastian, who is also the co-host of Simplified, another great podcast. Tony, where are you joining us from? And apart from Sanju Samson, what do you have to tell us about number 14?
I am in Mumbai, so one of the three of us from India right now. Actually, I didn't have a connect for 14 and I panicked and I Googled for the number 14 and realized that why not give a little bit of trivia. So in golf, a player can have no more than 14 clubs in the bag, which is pretty much like our sort of panelists as well. I think if we count up the number, it'll come up to 14 at some point.
That's an interesting connect then between golf and the IPL, because even in the IPL, I think you can't have more than 14 clubs playing at the same time. We are close to getting there. We have 10 teams this time? You had 4 more, I think. All hell with.
I mean, it was right there. Like 14 is the number of matches each IPL team plays in the league stage, right? So
it's also the number of IPL teams Aaron Finch has played for.
Also, the number of one-dayers that BCCI will schedule if they give them a free week between India and Sri Lanka.
Yes, the only trouble there is that there is no power in Sri Lanka. So these games will have to be hosted in India because there are no floodlights in Sri Lanka. Karthik AI God has also joined us for this podcast from the US. What is your connection to number 14, Karthik?
What is my connect? So as soon as you said 14, I did the Googling, but I went one step further. I went to the trusty old Cricinfo's This Day That Year page, which I actually used to be a voracious reader of that. I don't know if all of you used to follow. Actually, I should mention that I think the idea for this came from a really blade column that the Hindu newspaper used to carry called This Day That Year. My God, that was like the most blade part of the whole newspaper. And that's, considering it's the Hindu, that's saying a lot. But anyway, 314, which is pi, 3.14, is also March 14th, which happens to be the day of the big comeback in the 2001 Kolkata Test match. So that was the day that the thing turned around, right? And Lakshman got in and then Dravid got in and everything. So that's a nice connection. But I was also looking at that same page, and apparently March 14th, 1981 was also the mythical, famous greatest over in Test history from Michael Holding to Jeff Boycott. This was the first test of the West Indies tour of England of 81. There's a lot to be said about that, actually. It's a very sort of legendary over. But so there's lots of things apparently that have happened on the 14th of March, it turns out.
Amazing. It's great to have all these connects to 14s. It's been exactly 2 weeks then since the IPL started. 2 week is also an apt description of how his ex-teammates saw Yuzvendra Chahal back in 2011-13 when they used to bully him all the time. Back in 2011-12-13, Mumbai and Chennai were fairly strong teams, but it's fair to say this year they are too weak. Too weak, or maybe too meek, is how Dean Elgar has described the Bangladeshi team, which has been complaining about excessive sledging. So we have a lot of connections to 14 coming up today, and we'll be talking about all of these things.
No, I think we should stop the episode right here, because this is the most amount of sense that we've made in such a short span of time.
This is
We
bugle
should end
level
it at
intro.
14 minutes.
I was thinking just the opposite, but by the end of the 14th minute, everyone would have run away. So whoever is left is basically the five of us who are going to be listening to us speaking. So that means we can say whatever we want to. And let's start with the IPL, guys.
This is what has been stopping us so far from.
Hey, remember, 14 favors the brave.
Oh boy.
Now we can really stop the episode.
So yeah, let's talk about the IPL, guys. Starting with what's happening to Mumbai Indians, Chennai Super Kings, and Sunrisers Hyderabad. I believe these are the three teams that have won the IPL in the last 5 or 6 years. They are languishing at the bottom of the table, and the only reason why all three of them are not at the bottom is because they are competing with each other as well. So Chennai Super Kings have actually climbed on top of Sunrisers Hyderabad have climbed on top of Chennai Super Kings because they were so bad and registered their first win. But what's going on with these old teams? What's tripping them up, guys?
Like yesterday when you were watching Sunrisers and CSK, I was just wondering, is there a way both teams can lose? Like how Nitin had pointed out in the group, like a team that does not know how to bat is playing against a team that has no idea how to get a wicket. CSK's bowling is all over the place. I don't know which limb Bravo is playing with. Why is like Abhishek Sharma the one hitting it all over? Kane Williamson's playing test cricket. Like it was so depressing to watch. Like I don't even know where to start. Like
Wait, you are watching these matches, sir? Okay.
So the best part about that game was Chennai Super Kings actually lost that game when they got Kane Williamson out. Because as long as Williamson was batting in proper test match high elbow mode, it looked like CSK might, restrict them to 140 for no loss or something like that and win by 10, 12 runs, whatever. I remember the son of Bosi once wrote this very famous line, or maybe it was our friend Andy Zoltzman, I don't know, one of them. He was talking about Madan Lal, and he said, if Madan Lal were to bowl to Madan Lal, the batsman, cricket would die. I don't know if he said this about Madan Lal or Roger Binney. It was one of the two, so clearly I don't remember anything. But I was reminded of this when I saw CSK play Sunrisers yesterday.
I was actually thinking of Manoj Prabhakar. There's a bunch of people this thing is very apt for, I think. It's like, if they were to bowl to themselves, then cricket would die.
It's like there's the other son of Bosi post, right? Arun Lal happy for no reason in particular, which is what CSK, SRH and MI are going through right now. But to be fair, we saw this coming, right? They lost it in the auction itself. I mean, it's not like it was a big surprise.
Yeah, so CSK very aptly probably lost this at the auction where they spent a lot of money on Deepak Chahar, who is unfortunately injured and not playing for them, and they didn't go after any of the other new players that are actually doing well. They've just rearranged the geriatrics once again, so that didn't work.
They didn't retain Faf. Basically, between Faf and Ruturaj last year, they had like 1250 plus runs, if I'm not mistaken. This year, the combination has given them maybe 17.
Yeah,
I'm seeing
Ruturaj has carried his bat.
I'm seeing live footage of cows getting visually triggered that Dhoni is not being mentioned and the retention is not being talked about.
Go for it, Kaustubh.
it's just absurd. This man can do whatever the heck he wants and nobody will call him out on it, right? Like it's very clearly, if he had mentioned to the management beforehand that like, listen, like I need to retire or I want to retire or something, they would have retained Faf. I mean, you can get Moeen Ali back in the auction. He'll go for a lot of money, sure, but like Faf would have been like a proper gun opening batter plus a decent captain in the team. Instead, you have the whole management now like kowtowing to whatever he says. Yes, we respect his decision to retire. Yeah, Jadeja is a valid leader, whatever. Like, dude, even now the Star Sports producers don't know who to pan the camera to, man. Like, in between balls, they're still showing Dhoni waving his arms about in the field. Jadeja's like biting his nails in like the cover and at the deep or something like this. I mean, you can't blame Dhoni also for this. I'm sure Dhoni like 3-4 days before the IPL started was like, this team can't do shit. Like,
This is
might as
where
well-
you're getting. This is where you're getting CSK management and probably a significant chunk of CSK's fan base wrong, right? If he had told them that he was going to retire, they absolutely retained him. That's why. That's how it works. So,
Yeah, in fact, I think soon after the last IPL, I remember Dhoni actually gave them an out. He said, no, I'm not retiring, but we'll have to look at the auction and the purse and everything and all of that. He said, I want to play a game in Chennai. When it became clear that the IPL was not going to happen in Chennai, surely they could have had some conversation in the back rooms. But I guess they didn't. And there was also this event, by the way, when the IPL trophy came to Chennai, where the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, Mr. M.K. Stalin, on stage, seen by millions of people, told Dhoni, he told him, you can continue playing for this franchise for as many years as you want. You are a part of Chennai. He said something of this kind. I'm sure the management and Dhoni himself probably were a little stumped. Like, okay, what do you do now? Right? The brand value of MS Dhoni is obviously massive. I'm sure it helped in all the endorsements and everything, all the commercial activities, off-field activities that CSK has done in the run-up to the season. But the sad part is you can't even say Dhoni is the worst thing about this team. There are about 10 players who are not pulling their weight at the moment, right? And Dhoni, in fact, did fairly well in 1 or 2 games.
See, ultimately, I think it's the difference between a political party and a cult. A political party is where there's a bunch of followers following a madman. A cult is where everybody is a madman. And CSK basically is a cult at this point. It's like you buy into it and then you... Kaus, I was going to say, for your sake, I hope you live in South Bombay. Otherwise, there are going to be autos coming out for you. I live in the US, so I'm safe. But yeah, it's...
Okay, since we've traded...
And we've lost all our listeners right now because clearly all of them are CSK fans.
We have lost the knowledgeable Chennai crowd. Now let's go after the Mumbai Paltan, who, if any, are following this podcast. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to play this clip of Rohit Sharma trying to motivate his team. And I want you guys to see this and then, share your reactions later. And we'll figure out how to produce this later, I guess.
We seriously cannot be blaming individuals here. It's all of us. We win together, we lose together. That is as simple as that for me. I think slight desperation is required from each one of us. That desperation is very, very, very important when we play, especially in this tournament, because oppositions are different. They come up with different plans all the time. We just need to stay.
Because oppositions are different, they come up with different plans each time. Okay.
because he's used to bilaterals.
Guys, I want to check if you were paying attention. How important is desperation, according to Rohit Sharma?
Very, very, very. 3 varies.
Very, very,
Full
very.
marks to Tony Sebastian there.
Front bencher. Bloody front bencher.
Ahead of them. We just need to stay on top of them. And the only way we can do that is by, that slight hunger and that desperation on the field. With the bat, with the ball. So we're doing some good things. All 3 games that we've played. We've done some really good things. It's just that those little moments and that indication, individual has to understand, in that period of time when the game is...
For the benefit of our listeners, we will share the link to this tweet. So it is Rohit Sharma in the frame. We assume the rest of the Mumbai team is listening to him and they are off frame, except for one person. Jaydev Unadkat happens to be in the frame as well. And this is before Unadkat made his Mumbai Indians debut.
I think Unadkat is the only person in the room other than the camera.
No, Unadkat is caught in the frame. Like so he's like, I have to look interested. Like it's
No, this is what they told Unadkat. They're like, we don't know why we're paying you all those crores. It's for this. You better sit beside Rohit and
I'll take that deal, man. Like it's fine.
I know.
I am the Jaydev Unadkat of this podcast. Is just being caught there with nothing to say, but is also immensely enjoying.
Period of time when the game is happening, there will be an indication that this is the over. What we do in that over. Those little things. And we need to try and squeeze that and get it towards our side. There's no point that we put our heads down at this point because it's still early days. It's just that collectively, all 11 of us inside, whoever goes inside, need to come together. That's all I feel. Let's keep our heads up. I don't think we need to look down and
We don't need to panic, guys. They took the win from us. We need to squeeze that, all 11 of us inside. No point we put our head down. And I don't know if the person editing, the admin editing this had, a sense of humor, because at the point when Rohit says we don't put our head down, there is the clip of a batsman in the nets who in slow motion is actually putting his head down and going down to scoop the ball. Hi, if you can watch that video again. And okay,
we need to squeeze that all 11 of us inside. Don't put your head down. Okay, cool.
Hashtag.
Amazing. Only thing that's missing is male body contours.
I don't know if it's us that is a niche minority, but I saw the comments under this video on Twitter. Fans are basically melting over, saying these are the 2 best minutes of inspirational speech I've heard. Admin, thank you for sharing with us, and so on. So I guess that's the audience, right? It's got more than 200,000 views on Twitter. Which is,
Mumbai Paltan is now Mumbai Melton.
Melton, yeah.
Mumbai Kaltan, macha. Mumbai Kaltan.
Yeah.
So this speech was after Mumbai had lost their 3rd game. This was after a chastening defeat when Pat Cummins went after Daniel Samson. Smashed him for, some 700 runs in 1 over. Mumbai promptly lost the next game as well after this speech. So this one did not help. This one clearly did not help. So Chennai and Mumbai, between them, 4 games, 4 defeats, not looking good. I don't remember the last time.
You mean 8 games, 8 defeats. But yeah, 4 each.
Yeah, that's right. It's totally 8 winless games between Chennai and Mumbai. I'm sure back in the days of Pune Warriors and all the other stragglers that have come and gone in the IPL, this might have happened. But I somehow don't recall a team losing 4 opening games. Definitely not 2 teams losing their first 4 games.
Sorry, go ahead, Tony.
I was just saying, Nitin, you only mentioned this. It's very clearly visible how much this is affected because 33% viewership is down for the IPL. It has to do with CSK and Mumbai losing more than anything else, I would assume.
No, I was going to say, honestly, if you take CSK fans and Mumbai Indians fans, right? CSK fans, you can give them a fully losing season with 2 victories over RCB. They will take that on a platter. They won't care. And the same thing with Mumbai fans. You give them a fully losing season with 2 victories over CSK. They don't care. That's all the IPL is at this point. It's like people don't care. I don't think fans care about winning, losing. They just want to see, what they came to get their kicks for. That's all.
Yeah. It's only about the fantasy games now. In the evolution of fantasy, right, it used to be season long. Then last couple of years, it used to be daily matches. Now there is one app that is actually advertising saying, you did badly in the first innings. Doesn't matter. Make a different team for the second innings and play. So we are eventually going to reach down to each ball as an independent event level tournament.
I mean, it used to be called spot fixing back in the day, but yeah.
Explain this to me. Do you need to pick 11 players for every single ball? That would seem a little excessive, but pick 11.
All 11 of us inside need to show the desperation. Based on the desperation they show on their face, you will get points. Nitin, is it very, very or very, 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 depending on that.
Nitin, by the way, your question is exactly what a bunch of teams are asking at the auction also. Do we need to pick 11 players for every ball, or is it?
Yeah, Mumbai clearly picked 2 players and that was it.
Since we are talking about every ball being an individual event, and we had this very interesting finish, probably the one good game we've had so far in the IPL, or at least the one exciting finish was when Rahul Tewatia smashed the last 2 balls of Odean Smith, over mid-wicket to win the game. There were these opinions being expressed on Twitter that, why are we all overreacting to 2 sixes being hit of the last 2 balls? How is it different from sixes being hit in the 17th over?
I was just Googling to see where Rahul Tewatia is from. Unfortunately, he plays for Haryana. If he had played for Rajasthan or Gujarat, I was going to go with West Indian beats West Indian to get victory for West Indians, which would have been a perfect title. But
wow.
Yeah, just miss. Sorry,
Sunil Gavaskar would have been proud.
Yes, man.
I think what is worth outraging is I think the 4th ball of the over, right? Tewatia was not even on strike. ball,
Yeah.
the other guy strikes it back to Orion Smith.
David Miller, who last hit two successive sixes, I think, in 2014.
Yeah, so ball comes straight to him, and Orion Smith somehow decides it's worth a run-out opportunity at the other end with nobody backing him up. So just smashes one throw straight to long off, and they actually cross over, and Rahul Tewatia is on strike. If only he had called Sheldon Cottrell before, he would have known not to do that, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
But
what
I think-
Miller and Tewatia pulled off can aptly be termed the greatest crossover in IPL history.
Like that game
But I-
also had like a weird run out scene where like Pandya was livid at the fact that Miller didn't stay in the crease.
Yeah,
Like,
what was that?
No, so like the thing is, he basically wanted. I think they needed some in the last over only, right? Like
I
they
know.
needed. They needed, I think, some 18 or 15 or something, and he wanted
Right.
Miller to stay at the crease when the throw was made, right?
Right.
So he can
And
make a
then
run.
crossover,
Yeah.
right? Which
Run
is
over after the ball hits the stumps.
Yeah, which Miller did not think. Like it's like what world Miller lives in, I don't know. But Pandya also getting frustrated was damn funny.
Yeah,
like,
Pandya explaining it to him. Pandya then explaining it to him before going out is very funny because he's like, this is what you should do. So that, next time with the remaining 3 balls of the opportunity comes
Yeah,
up,
it's-
you do
it's
it.
like
Like in the
proper
middle of
and-
the moment.
no. At this point, they're basically using David Miller for the only thing he's actually good for. Like he's not going to hit sixes for you. This is the only scenario where he's actually good for it. Like trained for it.
But Miller is like, I was only showing desperation and hunger. So that's why.
Not very
Not very desperation.
Slightly desperate. And Miller is a good example, right? You need 11 players for every ball. They're probably better off playing 9 players instead of playing, 9 plus 1 Miller.
no, so like the only team that has like impressed me or like where I am not bored by watching is Gujarat at this point. Like there is someone that
I think you should clarify for this is for cricketing reasons and not for meme
I said team.
ability.
I said
Not for the
team.
metaverse.
Right. No, the thing is, with their composition also is strange. They have like 2 decent batters over, and Baki 11 just smash the ball. That's it. They can't do anything else. Okay. And then when they bowl, it's either someone who can clock 140, 150 or spin it like 90 degrees like Rashid. That's it. Like they have people in their team that can do like only the extremes. No, like little bit of everything, right? And so far they're unbeaten in the tournament. Shastri had said something along the lines of like you should not sleep on Hardik's captaincy. Like we have spent time with him in the dressing room. He has a good thinking brain. And if you have Pant and KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer as the new leadership group, you should not remove Pandya from that or something. And it's been fun. That's the only team that I am genuinely entertained by watching, because when we started watching the IPL, we were like, this team makes no sense. They didn't have wicket keepers, they didn't have openers, they just randomly bought players at the end. The only time at the auction that I remember they did anything noteworthy was bidding for Arjun Tendulkar randomly. Right? So, yeah, like, from there to, like, it's kinda decent cricket. Like, Shubman Gill is not batting at, like, 110 strike rate, he's batting at 180, 190. Like, which meant, what was he doing in KKR? If he could do this all the time, like, he's doing pretty well here.
This is the first time I've heard Shubman Gill and Arjun Tendulkar mentioned in the same paragraph. Like it's always the other one.
This is an episode of greatest crossovers, clearly. So talking about Shubman Gill, he is one of only 2 Indian batsmen who are making any runs in this IPL, the other being Surya Kumar Yadav. Why is this happening in every IPL that the Indian batsmen show up and are just not able to put bat on ball? What's going on with Kohli, Rohit? Kohli at least I think has finally got some runs, but Rohit Sharma now is plumbing the absolute depths. Like he's reached those, you can't hide him anymore. Like he's striking at some 122 average or 24 or whatever.
In fact, we should say after yesterday's RCB match, the way Kohli was given out, that Kohli's problem is now that he's getting bat on ball and still they're not recognizing it. But,
Yeah. Interesting thing about Rohit Sharma, he starts that pep talk with a very clear caveat. We shouldn't be blaming individuals. I wonder who he is referring
Which
to at
individual
this
do we
point.
blame?
But to be honest, I mean, I worry for the Indian T20 team, which is KL Rahul, Virat Kohli and Rohit as the top 3 in T20s. Right? No team can have these 3 as the top 3 and expect to.
Needs Kai at number 3, man. What a guy. What a complete breath of fresh air that can actually play spin, quality spin, and smash it
And
from
it's the same,
ball one,
and
literally.
same with Gill as well, right? Good player of spin and did well in Australia when he went with the test team. So hopefully gets a go in the World T20. But yeah, somebody from the slow-moving top three needs to make way.
No, I think my contention is that Prithvi Shaw is the ideal T20 player, right? Like,
Prithvi Shaw is very interesting to watch, right? He's that one batsman who I know somebody made that comparison with Lara and Sehwag and I don't know Sachin or whatnot.
Ravi
Yeah, but you actually think of Sehwag when he hits the ball, he seems to have a lot of time when he's especially hitting through the offside, and he keeps playing these carpet shots. I think he's been trained in the Mumbai Maidan, so there is that aspect to his batting. He's not someone who will brashly go over the top or something. He plays those cover drives, but they just fly to the boundary, and he's always striking at insane levels. I don't know what it takes for that guy to break through, but it'll be great if Prithvi Shaw has a long India career in T20.
No, but that's the problem here. So Prithvi Shaw was given like some kind of runway into the team, and he got injured. Okay, so I think Mayank Agarwal was brought in. This was like in 2018, right, in the Australia tour. Then Gill was given, like, KL Rahul gets injured or he's out of form, Gill gets a long run, and then Gill gets injured. So now KL Rahul comes and scores 100. Like, now you can't drop these people from the Indian team because they are doing pretty well. And the only reason we had different openers for, like, those bilaterals, because KL Rahul got injured. So these guys are not going to drop out. It's purely, like, everyone needs to be smashing it all the time. And then by chance, Rohit will get injured or something and Bumrah will be made captain for that time. That's when, like, these people will come in.
Shikhar Dhawan is listening to this podcast and he just killed a couple of cats because we mentioned the musical chairs of Indian openers and we didn't even mention Shikhar Dhawan, who has been forgotten. He doesn't play cricket anymore.
but he's also had a pretty bad tournament, right? I know this because Nitin, you're running some weird fantasy league of which
that sounded very shady. Nitin is running a weird fantasy which involves Shikhar Dhawan. I'm sorry.
No, so it had a pre-tournament draft wherein I picked the statistically best batsman as my all 11, and needless to say, I'm last in that league right now because none of these fellows are hitting that. What nonsense! I was like, oh yeah, I've moneyballed this.
You know what's funny? We've been talking about the IPL for this long without actually talking about the comedy team, which is Royal Challengers Bangalore. And they came up with a team song. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you guys the link. Watch a couple of minutes of this and let's then come back and talk about it.
Okay, for some weird reason, Faf du Plessis and everybody else is banging their hands as if they're in Lok Sabha.
No, as if they are doing, what is that? That COVID thing. They're banging plates.
Thali bajao, corona.
Thali bajao. Ye sala plate nambe.
Wow, it was almost like being transported to a Bangalore test match at the end there.
Yeah, literally the only thing missing there is ABD.
What was that? Like, there's so many things. So first of all, we will get to the final on our own.
How
exactly? Yeah. I mean, they're letting out all the secrets of the IPL. All the secrets of the IPL.
If anything, this song is about as RCB as it can be. Like, it has everything. Inferiority complex. It has, clown car. Like, what is happening in this song? It's insane.
No. See the number of references to other teams, right? Pant is blue. Golden lion shining through. They've spoken about all the other teams. Okay, and there is somebody from the CSK admin should have actually screenshotted this, right? There is this part where they see those other teams don't bother me.
Don't bother me.
There is one team that bothers RCB every season.
Like the ultimate inferiority complex in a song form. It's amazing.
But what do you mean we'll go to the final on our own? Like, it takes 2 teams to play the final.
This is the RCB version of the famous dialogue in Gilly, right? You lose the semi-final, we'll see you in the final. That sort of thing. So this is RCB doing it.
Like my takeaway is, one, this team, like, you have won 3 games. No, this was after winning the second game, okay, of the tournament. But like, one, calm down, okay. Like, it's not. Like, this is like it's not only is it a long season, this is a much longer season than it was like over the last couple of years. So firstly that. 2, you're not even going to win the final. You're going to make it to the final on our own. That's it. Like, it's
Yeah, there's nothing after that.
yeah, like you're like, what are like at least
reasonable
like,
ambitions.
but it's a team song, no? Like, who dreams to be second?
No, they're saying we have the finest kit, so we've already won. The IPL trophy is incidental.
I'm annoyed there's no reference to fair play here. Like, at least
Correct.
like, some trophy they need.
There is. Go to the final on our own. That is fair play. But the entire team, by the way, fields at fine leg, and they're all wearing their kits, because a finer kit you will never see. They don't have fielders straight, square, and all. They are all at fine leg. I mean, why are they so proud of their kit, man? I mean, it's a good kit. Frankly, I don't think it is the best.
Why are they only proud of the kit? Why is there nothing else to sing about? Like,
Was this written by David Willey? Did someone say?
Yeah. Remember David Willie?
Oh, it was? Oh, thank God. I thought this is written by Danish Seth on a hangover, and which is why he's clearly recused from the room because he wants no part of this. Right? Like, what is even happening here?
No,
Okay,
it's like
David Willey.
it's like a race to the, I don't know, top, I guess, between LSG's victory song and RCB's victory song. Like Lucknow's victory song was like a work of art, right? And then RCB looks at that and like, "Arey bro, like, mujhe bhi karne ka hai, also not be a part of this." So
before this
the Munna
episode,
Bhai meme or something.
I spent about 5 minutes looking for the Lucknow victory song and I couldn't find it. I wonder if they were embarrassed. Finally, they embarrassed themselves by putting something on Twitter, which they later deleted, because they couldn't find that victory song.
Yeah, this is true. I also searched for it, and it like nothing came up. Like they've actually buried it.
They buried it.
They properly buried it.
Lucknow have been playing well on the field, must be said. Off-field game is still has some work to do. So, but yeah, team songs are the new thing in the IPL, right? The teams that are winning are coming up with songs.
This is what, like,
Teams that are losing are coming up with inspirational speeches.
Very
Yeah.
inspirational speeches.
So I think that's the strategy. This you need to come, like, Mumbai need to come up with a song, basically, and it needs to be written by, I don't know, Daniel Sams, I guess, and like, that's going to be the thing, that they're going to go on a winning streak from here, and they will meet RCB in the final on their own.
Very, very, very
On their own.
Yeah, it's like.
All right, we have spoken a lot about the IPL, guys. Do you want to add in any one thing that you like a lot or hate a lot about the IPL so far?
Yeah, I think one good thing about this time's IPL is that, again, a lot of new / uncapped players are shining through, right? Like Tilak Verma and a bunch of these other guys who've been just coming and smashing it. It's a good thing that there are more number of teams, because you get more visibility and probably weaker oppositions to play with. I'll come to the...
I agree with Tony there. I think Ayush Badoni is my spirit animal for this IPL. It's been great to see him come in and smash it. That's the one good thing about the IPL. There are a couple of other good things. Delhi Capitals have recruited Ajit Agarkar, which is great. It means we don't have to listen to Ajit Agarkar on the commentary box. That's something that I really appreciate. Others?
I'm really enjoying the teams that are at the bottom this year. Like, I make no bones about it. I'm not hiding my glee at all. In fact, in the last episode, I guess I owe Sunrisers an apology, because I said, with Srinath as my witness, I said Sunrisers are not going to win even a single game in the IPL. And so I suppose, like, what's that guy's name? David Frith of Wisden, who had to eat his words after the 83 World Cup. Sorry, I have a hangover after watching that movie on Netflix yesterday. But I suppose I have to eat some Hyderabadi biryani now. I have to eat my words.
As good a punishment as any.
What
I know,
punishment?
Oh, we just lost our Hyderabadi fans as well.
I know, yeah, the one fan, yeah. But no, this is great that Mumbai, Chennai, and Hyderabad are at the absolute bottom of the table. The one thing that has not happened yet, which I'm really hoping will happen, is a sudden escalation in the memes coming out of Chennai, out of Tamil meme nation, because that is the one thing that never disappoints. Any IPL, reliably, the memes start flowing. So I'm just waiting for that. But
I think there are better memes when they do badly. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. Like, who can forget the Raina balcony meme? So absolutely.
For me, I think the best part so far has been some of the guys who've been out of the squad, like Gill and Sky has been around, but some of these younger lot who don't find a place in the 11 actually smashing it. And the end result here should be they get picked in the T20 World Cup squad and make it to the 11. Hopefully that happens, because otherwise, if it's the old guard, it'll be same story once again, even with Rohit at the top. Yeah, and Natarajan yesterday, so bunch of those guys.
Yeah, and Hardik Pandya bowling 140 plus, guys.
Bowling.
What's happening?
Hardik Pandya bowling itself.
Yeah,
Just
correct.
Yes. Which means he's promptly going to get himself injured by the time the IPL is over and not actually figure in the World Cup squad. But yes.
as Shastri said, it's the world's best physiotherapist, the IPL, because players just make
Bang!
Like for me, it is we have more fresh faces for captaincy at some level, right? What we have Mayank and Hardik and Faf and whatnot. It's some kind of I won't say it was stale, but like we didn't get to see different things on the field, and like it's sideways captaincy at some level. Like I do not know what Pandya thinks half the time when he like figures his bowling changes, but somehow they work. Mayank Agarwal, poor fellow, is like he's limited by the fact that he plays at Punjab. Otherwise, like he would have probably done pretty well in any other franchise as a captain, I guess. Like it's just people apart from KL Rahul are getting competition, and like that is like if by the end of the IPL people realize that like we cannot make KL Rahul any kind of deputy also, and they give it to like someone like a Pandya or something, that's a win. The whole tournament set up just for that will be amazing.
There he had to work KL Rahul into it somehow.
Exactly.
Hey, but by the way, before we round out the things we like about it, this is probably just me, but Ravi Shastri, man, like I'm actually that's a huge plus of the IPL
Yes.
for me. I never thought in 2022 we'll actually 10 years after 2011 we'll be sitting around and saying this, but Ravi Shastri is back on the air as a commentator, as an opinion giver, let's say, right? And it's actually been quite refreshing. I don't know if it's a sort of novelty thing, if it'll wear off, but yeah.
This will never
Been
wear off.
telling you guys for years together. Finally,
Hashtag
Ravi
miss
Shastri.
you, Shastri.
Listening to Shastri in the commentary box is like having Coca-Cola. It's never going to go out of taste or out of favor. It's unfortunate that he's not in the English commentary box, and apparently that's only because he did not want to go into a COVID bubble. And he's able to do Hindi commentary by sitting in the studio, whatever, which, with more relaxed rules. But yeah, if having him in the English commentary box would have made the IPL so much better, must be said.
No, and he does a lot of the post-match analysis and stuff too, so, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So
I'm waiting for the 10-part Netflix series of just Ravi Shastri's inspirational speeches from when he was the coach of the Indian team, which would make for a great viewing, I'm sure.
it'd be amazing. Grab the ball, Ash.
All right. Do we want to do things we don't like about the IPL? We want to save it for another episode.
We were previously speaking about conversations about Raina. This is about the conservation of rhino, apparently, which is what Tata Punch is bringing to the table with their newly launched car, and they've set it up in the stadium on a podium, and the funda is that if a player hits the
With
car
some sodium.
or with some sodium. Yeah. Quickly transitioning into ODM. But anyway, if you hit the podium or the car, 5 lakh rupees goes to conservation of rhinos in Kaziranga National Park.
We're not talking about Ryan Harris, whose nickname was Rhino either. We're talking about the actual animal.
We hope so. I mean, we don't know what's happening. But basically, like, I Googled around to see what this is about, right? And like, why are they sponsoring? And again, zero content except the fact that Tata Punch, I think, has one limited edition of the SUV, which is called the Kaziranga. So they're like, oh, okay, what can we do? Chalo, let's give 5 lakhs to Kaziranga National Park. But I'm sure Chaos has a lot to say about this because he's...
I thought the connection is something to do with the IPL horn and the fact that the rhinos have one horn.
But that's not a horn you can blow from. No, it's like an ornamental thing on their head. Like
it's already
you
so
could
much
say,
better.
You could say the same thing about the IPL horn. It is not something you should blow out, but they still continue to. But yeah, go on, Kaus.
This thing is like in every game, it's the most triggering thing I've seen. Anyone like try even hits like even 1-6 that's kinda crosses the boundary. Oh my god! Like people in Kazi, like Harsha Bhogle just going all enthu about this. Like people in Kaziranga are cheering. Like really, like people in Kaziranga are cheering. The like one, property damage because like hitting a car. Okay, but like two, like what, like really, like why just donate the 5 lakhs? No, like why do you have to wait for someone to hit the car?
I think what they should do is, you know how to restrict the ivory trade, the worldwide practice is if you confiscate ivory, you burn it, like in public, you burn the whole thing. They should just round up all those Tata cars and burn it at the end of the tournament. It's like, you know, whether you give the money or not, just burn the damn thing. It's like...
Why? Okay.
It's so insane. Like the whole thing, the whole concept is insane. It's like...
No, I get it. I get it as a this. So the thing is, at least like make it a little bit tasteful, right? Like, and like quite literally you can make it tasteful. Like in Big Bash, they had this giant KFC bucket, okay, like right by the crowd, and every time it hits, if a ball hits it, everybody at the ground gets free nuggets. At least
it's easy, no? Chicken destruction greater than rhino conservation. That's the funda.
No, but at least one is tasteful and is tasty, right? Like it's something you'd want. This seems like what a rhino will die, yeah, like because like nobody has managed to hit a car in like the last 2 weeks or something. So like if over 2 months no one has hit a car, what's going to happen?
If you give that
animal conservationists have logged out of the podcast. Sorry to hope to see you in episode 15.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying just donate the money. Like it's just 5 lakhs.
You know what?
Put the money down. Why is it incumbent on hitting the car with the 6 or something?
Forget about hitting the car. You know what I would watch, right? I think I put this. I shared this in the group. Have you guys seen Ace Ventura? The When Nature Calls. There's one scene in which like Jim Carrey comes out the backside of a rhino. Literally, not even like exaggerating this. This is what they should do. They have all these random, fours of the match, fastest ball of the match, blah blah blah. They should make the man of the match they should make the man of the match come out of the backside of a rhino. I would watch this. Like this is must-watch TV. I would really watch this.
Like
frankly,
you're giving prize money. You're giving every match has like some 300 people getting prizes like best catch, best shirt, best dance pose, best celebration, whatever. Like just like give 5 lakhs at the end of it. Like what? Like why is you want to like this is something like a marketing guy was told. Ki, listen, we are getting a car into the stadium. We need an activation idea. Okay, and like that guy, poor fellow, has probably worked on the new pitch deck for like months and months, and he's fed up. So like at like 2 in the morning, he just submitted this on like the WhatsApp group saying, "Listen, sir, I have this idea." Just thinking, listen, I've sent something for deadline right now. Okay, and like tomorrow it's going to get trashed, but tomorrow morning I will work on a better idea. And the heads of the department approved it overnight.
Kaus, this seems autobiographical, dude. This whole segment.
Close for
as someone who has worked on advertising during the IPL, like it reads like that. Genuinely.
I have an idea if anybody is listening, right? Karthik, you mentioned getting players to come out of the backside of the rhino would have been a good activation idea, and I agree, it would have been a great activation idea. They have this Pepsi box or something, where people are sitting and watching, and there is the other thing where Ishant Sharma suddenly showed up.
It's the Tata new box, by the way.
Tata new box.
Now a great idea, right? Why don't you put the commentators in a box that looks like the backside of a rhino? Because their commentary already sounds like it is coming from the backside of a rhino. This would have been a great activation. Rhino conservation would have taken off.
I don't understand why rhinos are being bashed like this. It's a bit sad to
the rhinos are innocent in all of this. They have no idea. But like it's just the coming together of terrible ideas, right? Like the other worst one award that is there is Swiggy fastest delivery or something, and it doesn't matter what happened with the ball. Like whoever bowls fastest gets it. Like it could have been smashed for a 6, and the guy is sheepishly holding a 1 lakh rupee.
Mohammad Siraj yesterday, right? Once again went for 50 odd runs in his 4 overs, and they gave him an award for bowling the fastest. It wasn't particularly fast either. I think the competition was less. It was
because I keep thinking when they show the fastest ball, very often some of these fast balls disappear for 6, right? So I've been trying to see if any of those fastest balls have actually gone for 6, and they gave an award for that. But somehow they've been overlaying footage to show that it was a great ball and a dot ball.
No. The producer cuts at the point where the batter has exactly at that point. Right, like, and like they show like a shot of like the bowler just like sting it out or whatever. Like that's how. I mean, they're smart enough about this.
Some Behroo's biryani should sponsor one segment and call it like no, in praise of the slower one, just for very well cooked biryani.
Slow cooked biryani.
No, but every time they give an award for this fastest ball every match, I just make my peace by imagining Shoaib Akhtar sitting somewhere in Pakistan or Australia, just like, steaming. He's like, what the fuck is going on? It's like, what is this?
Shoaib would have made the money, right? Every single game that he played, he would have got the award for it.
Dude, in one CSK game, Chris Jordan won it for bowling at like 136, dude.
I know.
Yeah, but just to round up this whole Kaziranga thing, right? The point is that it's just like a terrible activation, first of all, because it has nothing to do with the brand. Secondly, it's just that the commentators have become extremely enthusiastic. We mentioned at some point that no one calls out Dhoni anymore. We know what happened with Harsha once upon a time when he mildly criticized Dhoni. He's crossed over fully to the other side now, getting literally kidnapped by advertisers. And
there is
like
an ad where there is an ad where he gets kidnapped, by the way. Yeah,
exactly. You know the live thing where he pretended to get kidnapped was build up to this thing, right? To the ad that came
out. It was. Okay, finally.
Yeah. So he's sold out fully. And the funny thing is, like Kos said, like it's 11 in the night and or whatever. I mean, 10:30, whatever. And there is a ball going near the car. And Harsha is like, everyone in Kaziranga was waiting with bated breath to see if it'll hit the car so we can get 5 lakh more to save the rhino, which is really stupid, right? But I think like if I knew a little better Hindi, like we could have come up with some nice song like बहती रही है गंगा चलो चले कसीरंगा हम नाचेंगे नंगा RCB coach is Sanjay Banga or something like
that. Oh boy, this is even better than stadium podium.
We should work. I mean, Gain then Ganda somewhere. I've been trying for the past 10 minutes to make like a Ganda poem. That's great. Yeah.
In fact, I love that Srinath mentioned Behroo's biryani and the slower ball. They should actually get Harsha only to do that entire segment, right, in his voice. Oh, such a beautiful googly from Rahul Cheher. like the delectable biryani, like the chakra pongal that you get only in Chennai.
So it's rice.
You mean rice, right? Oh, man. Oh. Yuzvendra Chahal has come out and spoken about him being bullied back in his Mumbai Indians days. Firstly, there was a mention of something that happened when James Franklin and Andrew Simons actually tied him up and gagged him and put him inside a room, and he was stuck there for the entire night. Some Mumbai player who was very drunk once actually hung him out of a balcony, and he was actually fearing for his own life. Thoughts, guys? Why are people picking on Chahal? What's going on inside some of these IPL teams? Doesn't seem like the right thing.
I think I don't know if it's a sad part or like my takeaway from it is the innocence with which Chahal recounts these stories. Like he it's the assumption that these things happen. Like when you actually listen to what he says, it's pretty traumatic. I think also it's a different era. Like if this happened not nearly 10 years ago, where the landscape was different, where there was a lack of understanding of like when you can speak up, when you can't speak up, and teams are a lot more cognizant of those things right now. And like while I don't want to look at what happened 10 years ago with the same understanding I have today, even at the time it seemed traumatic, man. Like it's like I only think he's spoken up because possibly that player has retired, so it's not like there's anything that can be done about it. But
in fact, it seemed like it's not like he was waiting to recount these things. It's just that they just came out as part of conversation, and he was also talking about them as the rites of passage. This is the sort of thing that happened. It almost felt like college ragging, right? People who have been ragged badly in college don't look back at that experience with hatred. They're like, it's a rite of passage. That for me was the most shocking thing about what he had to say.
Yeah, and I don't think he said it like Kaus said to stir up any controversy, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, it's like a thing that happened. But like, I mean, with some of these characters, again, I think they were caught on camera in some senses doing commentary saying we need to be hogpiling Marnus for being an annoying guy, right? Like if he was my teammate, that's what I'd do to him. If you remember, like Simons was caught saying that. But basically, I think it's a function of the culture a while back, and like probably we don't know what's happening in colleges right now, whether ragging is happening or not, and how easy it is to institutionalize and internalize something like that, right? So I don't know, it sounds horrible when you hear it now, but
yeah, pretty big credits to him for keeping the player's name anonymous even after all that. It's been 10 years, and like Kaus said, the easiest thing to do would have been, guy's retired, I can just name him now and it'll become front page headlines for a few days and whatever. So pretty, I mean, all the strength to him for having gone through it and still keeping his senses about him. But speaking of college, that whole video it ends on a really weirdly funny note for me, because that whole segment is about which situation do you go back and think about that humne sambhal liya. That's the whole thing. So Chahal starts off with these Mumbai Indian stories. He talks about the trauma. Karun Nair actually starts it off. He says when he scored 100 or he made his India debut, his mum had prayed that he would go to a temple. So he goes to a temple, he's on a boat with the priest and 20 others, and just before, it's actually one of those boats in Kerala, which is famously narrow and there's too many people sitting on it. And just before they reach the temple, the boat capsizes, and Karun Nair's holding on for dear life, and the priest, after a rescue boat comes in, the priest says, whatever, let's resume with the rituals, and Karun Nair puts his hands up and says like, so that's it, I'm not continuing with this. And then we come to Ashwin, who's the host of this episode, right? Ashwin starts off by saying, talking about his internal exams in engineering college. Yeah, after all these, like, this is where we are starting. We're starting with Karun Nair and Chahal. Ashwin's like, I forgot the code of my C program, so I forgot to put printf, and external examiner came and gave me trauma. That is like peak Ashwin.
God.
That's how the video ends.
First world problems
we have
for
to
cognizant software engineering.
We have to again recount the world famous tweet from at Bharat Unitand, right? Which is that every time Ashwin comes on to bowl, I picture him taking off his cognizant lanyard and giving it to the umpire. So very, very much in character.
No, even now when Ashwin gets picked for an overseas tour, he says he's going on site. and this is also by the way why he never gets picked after they take him on site. He's just sitting on the bench, chilling, collecting his per diem, and that is what he does. It is a proper cognizant career. We have to take cognizance of this.
And he's making short films.
Thankfully, he's not working for Zerodha, because otherwise he would have to get a little fitter. Sorry.
So on Chahal, right? Last week, some of you were on the episode where we spoke a lot about women's cricket and how the camaraderie between players in the women's side of the game, at least, is so good. And here you have the exact opposite, right? You have the bro culture, testosterone, college ragging level incidents that are happening within teams, and they also seem to be, or at least at some point in time, not very much in the past, seem to have been institutionalized. It's sad, and it's something that needs to change in the men's game for sure.
To be honest, and again, I mean, since we've not spoken about Kohli, I think we should. I think there's been a remarkable transition, right? And for all the like Tim Payne's jabs about how he's not a likable guy, etc. If you look at him during the RCB games and backroom scenes right now, right, like you see a guy who's so in love with the game and with every player who plays cricket, right? Like he's just going and talking to anyone and everyone, giving Glenn Maxwell a back rub, like just celebrating like there is no tomorrow. It's so nice to see someone finding joy in the game again, and also like probably transitioning from a culture of like non-stop partying to probably non-stop gymming. But yeah, it's an interesting sort of
No, but like
change.
the thing with that is we are also like at the outside looking in, right? Like we don't know what actual team culture inside is like.
Yeah.
This is all stuff we are seeing on social media or on TV or whatever. Whereas something that like Chahal would bring up in the dressing room, or like the countless speeches that we won't see on social media because if the team has lost, I'm sure like the language wouldn't be parliamentary at some level. Like that is the culture, and we haven't seen much of that in the last couple of years. Sure, like at least from what teams have allowed us to see, it seems a lot more warmer or a lot more accepting. But like I don't think we can conflate the two at that level. Like Kohli sure might be great that way, but you don't know what RCB team culture is. So jokes aside.
Basically, you're saying the song is not the worst thing about the RCB dressing room, is what you're saying, which in itself is pretty terrifying.
But yeah, like
but guys, quick. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say like we should not. We don't have any evidence to say that it is not happening now. Is what I was like trying to say. Like Chahal recounted something from like a decade ago, sure, but people will still not speak up now. It is like that culture is still there where...
No, and the other thing about all these kinds of things, right, whether it's the sort of ragging, abuse kind of thing, or even other things, right, is what shows up is eventually only like 1% or like 0.1% of what is actually happening. It's like the whole tip of the iceberg thing, right? It shows up after the fact, and also only like, a small fraction of it even shows up. So I'm sure there's like all kinds of other stuff going on, which we have no idea about. So.
Yeah. I mean, Gautam Gambhir still has not got credit for that World Cup winning knock, so it's like injustice all over the place. But just to round up on naming people and not naming people, we've been eagerly waiting for the update from Boria Majumdar saying he has filed the defamation suit against Saha, which has still not happened. So this is an update to say there is no update on that particular incident. We'll keep updating you as and when.
I am waiting. They are waiting. You poo are waiting for an update. Okay, since we have spoken about things we like about, hate about, and enjoy about the IPL, it's time to round up the episode because it's been going on for longer than the IPL itself. Time to say bye. This was episode number 14, as we have repeated multiple times. We'll be back next week for episode number 15. Guys, watch out. I'm going to ask you questions about the number 15. You have a week to prepare this time around. But until then, this is Nitin Sundar saying bye. Say bye, guys.
Please share, subscribe, whatever else to this podcast, and thank you for tuning in.
Share, like,
Bye.
Subscribe, listen to it, send us all your feedback on Twitter.
Ring the bell. What do they say?
Press the bell
icon.
Press the
Press the bell icon if
Press
there
the
is one.
EN bell icon.
Surprise
the
us,
end.
please. Surprise.
Like there's competition now, right? All the IPL teams have started their own podcast, so like it'll.
Yeah. But thanks to our fans, we will go to the top of our podcast charts on our own.
Well done.
Please subscribe. We are very, very, very desperate.
Very desperate.